Hi everyone, welcome back to the SOC interview sessions. This is 𝐀𝐧𝐬𝐭 and let's get started with today's questions. The very first one is, will you talk us through the TCP handshake? Your interview can ask you this question. So your interview asks this question to assess the candidate's understanding of the TCP handshake. A fundamental process in TCP communication basically, right? So understanding the handshake demonstrate the candidate's knowledge of how reliable connections are established in a network. And on this, this question helps the interviewer gauge the candidate's grasp of networking concepts, which is crucial for a SOC analyst. So you can answer these questions like, the TCP handshake, also known as the TCP three-way handshake, is a process used to establish a reliable connection between two devices over a network. So it is initial step before data transmission begins, the handshake, and it involves three steps. The step one, which is SYN, synchronize. So client initiates the connection by sending SYN packet to the server. This packet contains a sequence number that the server will use to acknowledge the request. Then step two, SYNACK, which is synchronize acknowledge. So, upon receiving the SYN packet, your server responds with the SYNACK packet. Your SYNACK packet contains the acknowledgement number, which is the client's initial sequence number plus 1 and a server sequence number, plus 1 and a server sequence number. Step 3, which is ACK, as in acknowledgement. Finally, the client acknowledges the server's response by sending an ACK packet. ACK packet contains the acknowledgement number, which is the server sequence number plus 1. After this three-way handshake is completed, a reliable connection is established and data transmission can begin between the client and the server. So, you can take an example. Let's consider, a scenario where a user opens a web browser and types a website URL, like, www.example.com, something like this in the address bar. So when the user hits the enter, the browser initiates a TCP handshake with the web server, okay, which is hosting the website. So three-way handshake allows the web browser and the server to establish a secure and reliable connection to exchange data with each other. And it ensures that the web page will load, it will be loading correctly and all the necessary information is received without any loss. Second question, can you describe the difference between UDP and TCP? So here your interviewer's perspective we talk about. Your interviewer, asks this question to evaluate the candidate's understanding of differences between UDP and TCP. So understanding these differences is important for a SOC analyst, as they need to be able to analyze network traffic effectively, right? So we need to identify the protocols which are used and assess the potential security risks, which are associated with each protocol. So you can answer these questions like UDP, which is for user datagram protocol, and TCP, transmission control protocol, are both transport layer protocols, which is used in the TCP IP suites for data transmission, but they have their own significant differences, right? If you talk about UDP, it's a connectionless protocol, meaning it does not establish a reliable connection before transmitting data. It is faster than TCP due to its simplicity and lack of handshaking overhead. UDP does not guarantee the delivery of data or ensure that it arrives in the correct order, okay? And it is suitable for real-time applications such as video streaming, online gaming, where speed is important and minor data loss is acceptable over there. And UDP uses it is used when low latency communication is required, okay? Whereas if you talk about TCP, connection oriented protocol, that establishes a reliable connection before transmitting data. It ensures the delivery of data packets and retainment lost packets if necessary. TCP maintains the order of data packets during transmission, and it is ideal for application where data integrity and reliable delivery are crucial, such as web browsing, file transfer, email communications, all those things. And TCP, its connection oriented nature, makes it more suitable for scenarios where data loss is unacceptable, right? And retransmission is essential for maintaining accuracy. So you can take an example, like suppose a video conferencing application is being used, which require low latency to ensure real-time communication. So in this case, application may use UDP for data transmission because it prioritizes speed and real-time delivery over data integrity. On the other hand, if a user is transferring sensitive files over a network, a file transfer application may use TCP to ensure that all the data packets are reliably delivered and it's in a correct order, which is reducing the risk of any data loss or corruption. Third question, what is cryptography? Here, interview perspective, we talk about. Interviewer asks this question to assess the candidate's knowledge of encryption and its role in ensuring data security. So, understanding cryptography is vital for a SOC analyst as they encounter encrypted data during network monitoring and a need to identify potential security threats and vulnerabilities which are related to encryption practices. So you can answer these questions like, cryptography. It's a practice and study of secure communication techniques which are used to protect information from unauthorized access or modification during transmission or storage. So it involves encoding data in a way that make it unintelligible to unauthorized users, basically ensuring that only authorized parties can decipher and access the original information. Cryptography basically relies on cryptographic algorithm and keys to perform encryption and decryption processes. So there are two primary types of cryptography, symmetric and asymmetric. If we talk about symmetric, here the same secret key is used for both encryption and decryption. Both the sender and the recipient must, they must have and share this secret key in advance. So while symmetric cryptography is efficient, it raises challenges in securely distributing and managing the shared key. Always note that. Second is asymmetric. Asymmetric cryptography uses a pair of keys, a public key for encryption and a private key for decryption. So public key is shared openly, allowing anyone to encrypt data to be sent to the owner of the private key. So only the private key holder can decrypt the encrypted data. So asymmetric cryptography is more secure in key distribution, but is computationally more intensive. So cryptography plays a very crucial role, in ensuring data confidentiality, integrity, authentication, and non-repudiation, making it an essential component of your cybersecurity. So if you want an example, we can say consider a scenario where a user logs into a secure online banking portal. So when the user enters their credential, like their username or password, so the data is encrypted using cryptographic algorithms before being transmitted over the network. So this encryption ensures that even if the data is intercepted by any malicious actor during transmission, it remains unreadable without the appropriate decryption key. So cryptography protects our sensitive information such as login credentials, our financial transactions from unauthorized access and ensures the privacy and security of the user data. That would be it. Thank you.